Hello, friends. Welcome to this session of environmental conventions. Here, I have tried to put the conventions starting from 1992 to the very recent convention, that is COP27. So, we will be looking all across them, and we will be just pondering upon the major developments that had happened during that particular convention. So, we're going to start with 1992, that is also called the Earth Summit. So, we shall start with 1992. Here, the Earth Summit in Rio UNFCCC. UNFCCC means United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is opened for signature along with Rio Convention, UNCBD and UNCCD. UNCBD means United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification and United Nations Convention for the Protection of Biological Diversity. So these were some of the things that were there into the news back then, and I think these are the very basic convention, everybody should be knowing about it. So from this convention, the environmental collaboration began in the global system, where countries started coming together to address the menace of climate change, and these climate change mitigation measures started in the year 1992. So this was the first way in which Earth Summit, so you can remember the word Earth Summit in Rio UNFCCC is opened for signature along with Rio Conventions, UNCBD and UNCCD, United Nations Convention to protect the biological diversity, Convention to protect the biological diversity, and United Nations Convention to combat the desertification. Then in the year 1995, the first COP, that is COP1, that took place in Berlin. It was the first conference of the COP that took place. So from here became the COP first in the Berlin itself. Then in 1997, that was the second COP. It is Kyoto Protocol. You might have heard about Kyoto Protocol. It was all in the news for a long point of year, to reduce the emission of the greenhouse gases. So 6 greenhouse gases were targeted. Mainly were CO2, methane, and other 4 gases. Okay, and this also propagated the market-based mechanism to address the climate change. Market-based mechanism means you can actually buy the carbon credits, you can sell the carbon credits, and it also created the 3 broader framework where you can go. So firstly, they promoted the emission trading, so you can trade for the emission that you are doing. Secondly, there was CDM. It was called Clean Development Mission. So here, a developed country can develop a climate resilient or a climate friendly infrastructure in a developing economy, and for which it will be getting the carbon credits. Okay, and third, it was a joint implementation. So here again, the countries that were there in the Annexure 1 were allowed to contribute and to firmly combat the climate change in a market friendly way. It was also decided the Annexure 1 countries were given the responsibility to combat the climate change. Okay, and it also promoted the concept of CBDR, common but differentiated responsibility and respective capability. Common but differentiated responsibility but respective capability. Okay, so this was the concept of CBDR that came into picture into Kyoto Protocol. Then in 2001, Marrakesh Accord was signed and rules for implementing the Kyoto Protocol. Implementing the rules for Kyoto Protocol were finalized and setting up the funding instruments and technology transfers, because technology transfer is a key to address the climate changes. Then in 2012, the Doha extended the Kyoto Protocol till 2020 and set legally binding targets. So Kyoto Protocol was extended till 2020. So it became very important that by 2020 the countries must have a new structure with which they will be addressing the climate change. I think I should go start from 2005 onward. So in 2005, MOP1, that is Montreal Kyoto Protocol, entered into force and the first meeting of parties took place. Okay, so this was the first time in 2005 that in the Montreal Kyoto Protocol that took it to the force and the first meeting of parties taking place. This is called MOP. Meeting of parties took place in the Montreal. Montreal is in the Canada. Then in COP13 that took place in the year 2007, the Bali roadmap for implementing the convention through long-term cooperative action and beyond 2012 was finalized. And similarly in the Doha, they extended the Kyoto Protocol till 2020. So these were some static information that you could actually realize. So there was a Montreal in 2005, there was a Bali. So you can write MOP Montreal in 2005. Then you had Bali roadmap in 2007. Then you had Doha extended the Kyoto Protocol target till 2020, and it was in the year 2012, if you could remember. Then you can see in 2013 there was a Warsaw which added the Green Climate Fund. Green Climate Fund was very important, which was set up by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The Green Climate Fund set up by UNFCCC in the year 2010 to fund the countries. Okay, and it also talked about the loss and damage fund, because loss and damage because of the losses which are taking place in the economy for the vulnerable economies, and also supported the Warsaw framework for REDD. Okay, REDD, REDD plus. Okay, this REDD plus is there. Then in 2015 came the most important in these time, which is there is the Paris climate change. So Paris, let begin with Paris climate change. Paris climate change talked about that IPCC report was coming continuously, and recently the sixth assessment report came out, and it talked about that we are into the code red. Now it is no more a global warming, it is a global boiling. We have entered into the global boiling era, not just global warming, not just global warming. So we have entered into global boiling era. Okay, and here the target were ambitious. It is targeted to reduce the global warming temperature below 2 degrees Celsius pre-industrial level, preferably to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Means if the industrial temperature was, let's say, 3 degrees Celsius, so the target is that the temperature of the global average temperature must not rise more than 2%, like T naught plus 2%. It should be the higher limit, and we should try to curtail it. And it would be good if we reduce it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Okay. Then in 2026, the Glasgow rule book for implementing the Paris Agreement is to be finalized. That is there. So it was there. Then in COP27 was there, Sharm el Sheikh, which talked about the loss and damage fund. This is a very recent COP which took place and which talk about the loss and damage fund. We will discuss in detail about the international and the national targets and how we are going to achieve it. That we will do in the next session. So these are some of the important international convention. You can remember the timeline. Okay, and these are some of the way in which you can actually progress and prepare for exams. If you have understood it, you can appreciate the video, and if you find some challenges, you can very well communicate to us. Thank you.